Hello there, beautiful people. This is Pensive Brothers Podcast. This is Aaron.
And this is Elliot.
Today is a special, special day.
Why is it special, though?
This is our first show.
The first show.
The first show. So,
Numero uno.
we've been hearing from everybody under the sun. Hey, y'all should talk. Y'all should tell people, y'all's opinions on stuff. Y'all should start a
make
podcast, start a
podcasts.
show, start a web show or whatever. So,
Make y'all some money.
yeah. So, here we are. By popular demand,
That's right.
we're here. So,
How you
doing,
gonna see
here,
how
bro?
popular it is? I'm pretty excited. I'm here. Living life.
Calm down. Relax.
Woo.
So, all right.
All
A
right.
couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about, first of all.
Okay. What you want to talk about?
One,
Mm-hmm.
do you know the
Muffin Man?
difference?
Sorry.
Do you, do you
My
know the
bad, my
difference between a dork, a geek, and a nerd?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think the difference is between a dork, a geek, and a nerd?
A dork is man dark. A geek is Dexter. A nerd is like, I don't know, the guy that.
See, I've
I
been
don't
thinking about this.
Yeah. Have you?
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
I have.
So
okay.
who are your examples?
So it's not necessarily an example, but
Shame. Okay.
Okay. A nerd
Mm.
is an overly smart person, a person that's super into school, super into, like, I'm a nerd, okay? A person that likes to learn and read all the time, that's a nerd, okay? A geek is a person that is just like,
Really into a specific thing, like
no, weird looking.
I don't think you
No,
have to.
no.
Yeah.
Stop. Whatever you're about to say, no, it's wrong. So a geek is a person, you look at them, they're the ones that dress weird and they talk weird and they maybe smell weird. Those are geeks.
I don't feel like you have to smell weird to be a geek.
You don't have to. I said 3 different options.
I
They
don't
look
feel
weird.
like any of the I don't feel like being a geek should be tied to your physical appearance.
No, that's what being a geek is. Now, a dork,
uh-huh.
you don't necessarily have to be. A dork is a person that doesn't necessarily have to be good at school, but they're lame.
When you say they're lame, they do like lame people stuff. So
Yeah,
like
like nerds.
They're the person that because a nerd is someone. Okay,
Now,
here's
there's
the
a
problem.
subsection of nerds. You can still be cool and be a nerd.
Sure,
You cannot be cool and be a dork
I
or a
agree with
geek.
that. I don't feel like that third one is true. Okay, here, let me give you my definition so we can try and work backwards. See if we
Okay.
can come to some
Backwards
like,
from your conclusion.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm thinking a dork is actually like the person that like ruins everything. So like that person where somebody tells a joke and everybody's laughing, and then that person that comes in afterwards and like adds like one thing too much,
Yeah,
and it makes everything unfunny.
that's a dork.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or the person that's like way thirsty when you're like at a party, and they're like and you're like, bro, just chill, relax, it's cool.
Yeah,
That's a dork. A geek is a person who's way too into a specific thing, whether it be anime, whether it be cars, whatever. That's a geek.
Naruto running or
Yes.
you know.
That person that does stuff that's like socially. They're at a wedding where your normal family is, and they're like wearing their cosplay. Yeah, that's a geek. That's
we
a
have a
weird
specific person that are. Wait,
No, I'm
did
not.
you just switch? Did you switch words?
No. That's a geek.
Oh,
Geek is a
okay,
person
okay,
who's
alright.
way too into like a specific thing, like to the point of like social detriment. And then a nerd, I think I would agree with your definition, is like a particularly intensely intelligent person, somebody who like highly values their intelligence, probably to the detriment of other stuff, but minimally
Yeah, like
they're just
social
like
skills.
yeah,
Sometimes.
sometimes. But
But the
I don't think
caveat to
any
being
of these.
a nerd, unlike a dork and a geek,
Yeah.
is you can still be cool and be a nerd.
I think you can still be cool and be a geek. I think the problem there's dorks are always uncool. Geeks can sometimes be cool, and nerds can be cool in specific circumstances. Like it's nice to have a nerd when you're like at work or you're in school or you're like you specifically need a very knowledgeable like subject matter expert type person. Like that's what a nerd works in. But
Now, which one would you consider yourself to be?
now or in general?
No, in general. Which one
In
would
general,
you consider
I'm
yourself?
probably a nerd because I highly value intelligence and I have a wide breadth of knowledge that's not very deep. It's kind of shallow in a lot of ways, but I know a whole bunch of stuff that is very useless.
Yeah,
To
see,
me.
I'm kind of like that, where I don't see the things that I know as useless. I see them as compartmentalized, and they're gonna be useful at some point.
That's probably a more fair.
Just hasn't happened.
You're
yet.
probably right.
Yeah.
But no. Here's the problem. There are some things that I know that will never have a practical purpose, and if I find a practical purpose for them, it's because I literally went out of my way to be like, hey, I know this thing. It applies to the situation. Nobody asked for my opinion, but I know a thing. Here
Yeah, I'm like that too. Where I will literally work something into a conversation that no one asked for.
First of all, that's so obnoxious, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, I know it and I want to show it. So
rude.
Yeah, but okay, all right. The reason I brought that up is because Alyssa and I were having this discussion. I believe it was Alyssa on Sunday, and so I've actually been thinking about it. The difference between a nerd, a dork, and a geek. So I wanted to see what you were thinking. But all right, so
do my explanations at least make sense?
Yeah, yours are a lot closer to mine. I don't think she was feeling what I was saying. I don't think
she was like, no, you're just being rude. I feel like you're insulting me right now because people have called me a geek and I liked it.
I mean, no, she's close to a geek probably, but Alyssa has something that a lot of people wish they had, which is she doesn't care what other people think of her. So she's comfortable in who she is, which is something that it took me until I was probably 25 to get there. And I'm still...
Listen, right? I'm still...
Fence, yeah.
And the other thing is, like, I do think there's probably some amount of, hey, I'm a girl, so I can do whatever I want now that plays into that. Because, like...
Well, maybe, but, like, there's a lot of guys that don't care what other people think.
Sure, but usually those guys are not, like... They're not expected to be like kind of men, and like in our life,
I do know what you mean by that.
Yeah, because like people just kind of like you kind of gotta play this specific role sometimes, and it like that junk be tiring, bro. Like sometimes I do not want to lift heavy things for other people who can't lift heavy things for themselves.
And they look at you and they're like, "Oh, he can do it."
Yeah. Hey. You're a big young strapping fella. You wanna help me with this big box? Not really. I don't even like you. But, I do it anyway because I'm a nice fella. I try to help out the elderly and, you know.
We were walking through Walmart the other day, and this lady was trying to get this Christmas tree off the top shelf.
And you let her do it, didn't you?
No.
Charlatan.
Come on.
Shameful.
And so she's, like, looking around, looking for somebody to, like, come help her.
Looking for an employee.
But
you was like, yeah, of course not. You're in Walmart. What did you expect?
So I was like, okay. There? I was like, you need some help? She's like, oh, thank you so much. It's like she was so relieved.
Because she just knew nobody was going to help her. Was she white?
And I was like, my mom would be mad at me if she saw me just walk by you and we not help you.
We don't do that. Yeah. Was she white?
No, she was an older black lady. She was like up on her tippy toes trying to get this Christmas tree.
And you was not about to let her do that.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Like, I do feel almost convicted when I see like older ladies trying to do stuff and they can't.
Yeah.
Like there was I was at work actually, and I was riding to a job site and. There was like an older lady. She was trying to pull out of her driveway, but somebody, might have been her, might have been one of her kids, whatever, had put her trash can right in front of her car so she couldn't back out. So I saw her open the door. So I was like, nah, I ain't gonna let her move this trash can. So I parked, hopped out, ran over there, moved the trash can out of the way. I was like, hey, you have a great day. She was like, oh, thank you. Where did you come from? I'm like, I was riding by the road. I saw you needed some help.
I told her you came from Black Jesus.
No, I'm not gonna tell her that. First of all.
Okay, so anyway.
So but yeah, like sometimes I get why you would help somebody in that situation because you just
and like as far as you saying you'd be convicted about it, I feel that because I don't know, it's a weird gentleman thing. I be feeling like mom is watching or something, and so it's like
if my mom was standing right here and she saw me not helping you, bro, she would slap me upside the head. Let me
what are you doing?
But even then, like. There's some amount of like do for those who can't do for themselves that I do think is like I don't know, that has like impacted our pride. Yeah, and like I want to be the guy that does that for people.
Yeah,
like
and I always say be the best version of yourself, and I think the best version of the man that we try to be
is the one who
thoughtful and helpful.
Yeah,
and so
even when it's not expected, I think that's true.
Elections happened yesterday.
Oof. Man.
How segue right there.
I know, right?
So, okay, going into the elections,
yeah,
I was thinking that the Democrats are going to get routed.
Yeah, I knew they was going to get slaughtered. I'm happy they didn't.
I'm very happy that they didn't. But the thing is, I think there's like three sides to this conversation.
There are definitely. Okay, what are your three sides?
Side number one is the expectation was that the Democrats were going to get swept, and they didn't, which is good news.
Which is good. Yep, I agree with that.
You need to ask yourself, why did the
There it
Republicans
is.
not win the way that they expected to?
Or the way that the polls are showing either.
Right. Second part of the conversation is
Mm-hmm.
why are we all just like, oh yeah, the Democrats are gonna get smacked around, and that's just what we're doing. Like, why aren't we upset with the Democrats for not doing better? Like, no, not why aren't we upset?
Okay.
What I'm saying is, we should expect. I understand. Oh, it's a midterm year when you have a very unpopular president.
Right,
I got that, but that doesn't mean we can't expect the Democrats to do better. And then the third part of the conversation is part of the conversation of them basically propping up
terrible candidates.
Yeah,
against.
Democratic leaders gave the Trumpist candidates money.
Yes. So that they could run against them in the
they would win their primaries.
So they could run against them in the general.
But
then those candidates
every
actually
single one of them lost.
Yeah.
All of the one. So now, let's start with the first.
That's a complex conversation, bro. I think those are definitely 3 good points, and I probably got one more, but let's deal with those 3, and then we'll circle around.
The first part. Let's talk about the Republicans thought they were going to slaughter, and they didn't. Bro, so what is your assessment of that?
Okay,
like, why do you think that happened?
I think it happened in my estimation, it probably happened for 2 big reasons. One was there was way more youth vote than anybody expected.
I was going, yeah.
Like, and I think I've heard some pretty good conversation about it. Some of it might have been the abortion stuff because young people are going to be the hardest hit by abortion bans.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to drive out their vote more than a whole lot of other issues would, even economic stuff. I think the fact that Republicans are really the ones pushing the fight against the student loan forgiveness is the other one.
So we're on the same page there.
Yeah. I think those 2 things, and a lot of analysis kind of points in this direction. So I'm not like an originator of this thought or anything, but I think those 2 things really drove the youth vote. I think the other thing that really helped the Democrats was probably that they have had a lot of really big, really obvious successes this year under Biden, and a lot of the Republican rebut to that is just very unsatisfactory. So if you're one of those people that's kind of, I'll vote, for whoever sounds better, or I kind of toe the line, you're independents, you're non-voters, you're kind of middle of the road people, I think Republicans just are not offering anything of substance to those people. So that's not bump the Democrats.
So I agree with all of that, and I think yes, I think that the student loan forgiveness and the abortion stuff are going to energize Democratic voters, which is good. And also, I think, like, even Donald Trump and a lot of the Republicans are saying is that they had horrible candidates as well. So I think that's another part of it. I mean, like, what I've noticed, okay, so let's talk about Herschel Walker and Warnock.
Ooh,
so Herschel Walker, for the people that don't know, ran for Senate. He's a football star or whatever.
He a whole lot of other stuff, too.
To Georgia, and now he's running for Senate in Georgia. So he's an idiot. Like, something is wrong with this guy.
Yeah, he might have CTE.
Yeah, like, and I'm not saying that to be like, oh, I'm going to make fun of him today. No, I'm serious. Like, this guy pulled out a toy police badge when he was confronted at a debate saying, hey, why are you pretending that you were in the FBI and pretending you're a police officer? And he's like, oh, here's my response to that. Look at this toy police badge I have. And I'm going to now continue to prove to you that I'm not a cop. Right. I have worked with law enforcement. And she's like, oh, that's a prop, sir. Yeah, it's a prop. So, Elliot, the fact that they're going to a runoff.
Yeah.
Okay? So, Herschel Walker barely is losing.
Yeah. Which is disturbing.
Imagine if they had a good quality, regular, run-of-the-mills Republican guy.
I'm going to be honest.
He would have won.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know. Maybe, because I think
part of Herschel Walker being this close to losing.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember now, Warnock, when he won last time, he didn't win by a large margin.
It was bare.
Against,
it was like, woo. He was just in Asta.
What was her name?
Ossoff?
No. Ossoff is the other senator that won.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Anyway, he ran against the lady who he called the unelected senator, and the people of Georgia are coming for their seat. That was like my favorite.
Oh, I remember that. But coming for that seat.
But because she was appointed to that seat.
Yeah.
So
as like a lame duck something or other. Because somebody moved out of the chair or whatever.
I don't remember if someone died or what. But she was appointed.
Yeah. And she was not elected.
So, but my point is, candidate quality was another, because Trump came in and he's like, hey guys, here are all of my candidates.
Yeah.
Like Carrie Lake, the
Yeah.
insane lady in
Didn't
Arizona.
Didn't she win though?
No, she's their election's not done as of now, which is
What was the last
Thursday
tally
night.
you saw? Because I haven't followed.
No,
theirs.
she's losing by like I think it was 20-something thousand votes.
Amazing.
But that election is not called, and it's Thursday
Okay.
night right now, Thursday the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So, Trump. So you got Carrie Lake in Arizona. You've got Herschel Walker. You've got Dr. Oz. You got these uniquely flawed candidates who are just not good.
Yeah.
Dr. Oz, the guy who's been touting all this nonsense fake medicine,
Bro.
He's from New Jersey.
It's not, and it not only that, like people really don't like it when you move into their town just so you can lord over them.
It's called being a carpetbagger.
Yeah.
Or you just show up and say, "Hey, there's an open seat here, so I decided I'm gonna move over
run
here
for it
to get you guys a seat because there's no open seat where I am."
Exactly, and I think like Fetterman in particular ran a really impressive campaign.
He really did.
The way that he ran, the specific attacks that he used, the specific benefits that he presented to the people that he wanted to vote for him, I think is a model to be replicated.
And he ran on economic policy.
100%.
He ran on, Medicare for all. He ran on raising the minimum wage. He ran on bolstering Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah.
He ran on like actual, not Republican bad, so me good.
Right.
You guys got to be scared because Dr. Oz is gonna come in and he's gonna, I don't know.
He's gonna roll back all the stuff we've already done.
Yeah.
I think the difference between an affirmative agenda, an affirmative case for yourself, and a like negative agenda against somebody else makes a huge difference. And I do think that was the other, like that's
why
another
Hillary
part of the
lost.
equation. 100%.
Because you can't, like, the problem that you have is, Elliot, you can't expect the masses to vote on their bad. So that means, by definition, that I'm good. People aren't scared anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we already had Trump. And I think that's my fear for 2024 is because Joe Biden basically used up you guys, Trump is really bad.
Okay. He did. But let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about that. Because I think this is the other reason that the Democrats did not get slaughtered. Joe Biden is really, even though he can't talk sometimes. Did you see his speech after the election night?
Yes.
It was actually one of the best speeches I have ever heard from
Joe Biden's had some pretty good speeches lately.
And he had, okay, so.
And I say that as a person who's not a fan of Biden.
I'm not a fan of Biden either. Well, I guess I can't even say that
I like
anymore.
this new base, Dark Brandon, though.
Yeah,
I like this guy.
But here's the thing, okay? I don't know if it's coming from Biden himself. I don't know if it's coming from like his handlers or his team or whatever.
Speechwriters,
bro.
and all that.
Whatever it is, and I don't even think he got like amazing speechwriters because it's not like he's saying.
No, he's got regular old.
He's just saying
Just
regular,
saying honest stuff.
I think there is a charm to Joe Biden. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but there's a charm to Joe Biden because he speaks very plainly and very specifically about what he's planning to do. And then he actually makes very clear and obvious efforts to accomplish the things he said he's going to try and accomplish. And people can see that. There's an earnestness now. And I agree with you
because we put the caveat in there because my man's was on a
he
year
was
and
on
a half
some other stuff
vacation.
when he was,
I'm telling you, over the last 6 months, Biden's been all right. I got to give him his props.
Yeah.
But you remember there was a long time where the Democrats were not even proposing bills.
Yes.
Nothing was happening.
Okay. Yeah. So there was a period of time where nothing was getting passed.
Nothing was getting done. Nothing was being proposed. There wasn't a bunch of big fights.
Here's the problem, okay? A lot of times, especially when it comes to a lot of this legislation that's going up, like they are working things in the background and it takes time for them to get to the point where they can bring things public. So like when he came in, he had a bunch of like fires to put out. So he can't corral all of the cats in Congress while he's putting out those fires because he had the COVID stuff he had to get.
Yeah.
He had to write the ship on. He had an economy that was literally crashing every day. He had to write the ship on. He had this war in Ukraine that he had to figure out a coherent policy about. But I'm saying like as soon as he's done putting out one fire, he has another fire that's coming up. So like to his credit, he has been able to manage all of these crazy events once in a lifetime. We've never seen anything like this type of events back to back to back to back. He's been able to manage it. He's been able to turn it into for the most part.
Yeah, I feel like you're going a little
far. No. Well, okay. I'm saying in relation to what we've seen from Trump, what we've seen during while Obama was president, what we've seen from Clinton and Bush, like when when we had major crazy stuff happening, Joe Biden was able to have a plan, implement a plan, and then talk cogently about the plan he's implemented. And I do not think, as a party, the Democrats have been able to do that for the last 20 years.
No, I feel you. I think I would give him credit on a lot of that.
Yeah.
The biggest problem that we're still having, and it's the reason that inflation is still going on, though, is that they're still, I don't think, prepared to stand up to corporate power the way that they should. Because right now, honestly, we're being price gouged in almost every sector.
Absolutely.
And it's not, it just costs this much to get the gas out of the ground. It costs this much to get the products from overseas. No.
Did Katie Porter win her race?
That one's not called yet. And it's
How close
very close.
That's terrifying.
Very
and
close.
I don't get it. Okay,
for those who don't know, Katie Porter is a very, very, very good progressive candidate. She's been in Congress for a while in a red district in California.
Yeah, and
she's the one that has the whiteboard.
She do be bringing
who
that.
Does those hearings and basically makes the CEOs of companies squirm.
These people know who Katie. Maybe
everyone doesn't know who Katie Porter is.
They should. If you don't know who she
but
is,
they don't.
get on.
That's why we're here.
Listen, if I was gonna vote for a Speaker of the House, that would be my vote.
I know.
Because
Pramila Jayapal, but she's no. Like 2 years ago, no, she was awesome.
No.
Yes, she was.
No.
Yes, she was.
Here's the problem. Pramila Jayapal had the same problem that Obama had. I do not care what you say. I care what you're able to get accomplished.
No, Pramila Jayapal, she had that. No, Elliot, I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, sure.
She had because it wasn't all bad. I'm trying to tell you.
It's not.
She was on track to potentially be Bernie's vice president.
Sure.
No, she was definitely decent. But
hold on. I need you to qualify that for me.
Okay. Yeah. So
why was she decent?
So one, Pramila Jayapal put up her own version of Medicare for All that she had written.
Did it pass?
No, they didn't put it up for a vote.
Exactly.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, at the time.
Sure. Yeah. No.
At the time.
Okay. So she put up her own version of Medicare for All. It didn't even get put up for a vote.
Leader of the Progressive Caucus.
Okay.
Which did end up getting a lot more seats when the Democrats won the majority.
Okay.
Because of her advocacy.
Sure.
Now, since the Democrats got the majority, that's when I think the steep decline happened.
Wait. I want to sit right with what you just said, because this is a problem that I have with kind of how we couch conversations about progressives in general. I do not like Pramila Jayapal because I think Pramila Jayapal is useful idiot is too strong. I think she was specifically used by Nancy Pelosi and a lot of the old guard Democrats as a stopgap to keep the progressive caucus from actually being politically effective.
I agree with that.
So, no. I don't give her any credit for for speaking about her own bill, because she didn't do anything in public, or she didn't make any real headway in getting any of the things she talks about passed, even included.
But I do think like a lot of what AOC's done is not from passing the bill, but a lot of what she's done is pushing bills forward, pushing them into the conversation. Being a big part of Bernie's campaign, which pushed leftism and progressivism in general forward. And I think even though it didn't work, even though he didn't win, I don't think that all of that working, canvassing, and being a person of power, pushing those arguments to the front, when you clearly had Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and Obama and a lot of people on the right side on the right of the Democratic Party saying, you guys, no, we don't need to be doing all those bold ideas. So I think, like I said, I think over the last 2 years, and I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on this, but I think, yes, all of your criticisms of her, I think, are valid. But, and for those who don't know, she is the leader of the Progressive Caucus in the House of Representatives. She's in Washington State. She's a congresswoman.
Okay. I think there's some substantive conversation here, so I'm going to be a little more pointed. Why are we okay with Progressive Caucus leaders who do not...
We're not okay with it.
Okay, so because I know how you feel about it, I know how much stronger of a stance you take when we're talking about like the bully pulpit of the presidency, and when we're talking about like what we really need a Speaker of the House to do. Like, you expect them to be out maybe not every day, because like they got other stuff to do. They should be voting, they should be investigating, they should be like reading up on the issues, blah blah blah. But you expect them to be out pushing the social conversation of what they're trying to do, or at least giving voice to people who can intelligently have conversations about the things that they're trying to do and actually inform the public.
Right.
The Progressive Caucus has failed at almost
No, the
every
Progressive
turn.
Caucus is done.
Listen, okay, but listen to what I'm saying. The reason the Progressive Caucus is done is because they've allowed themselves to be folded into the greater Democratic Party as just another, that's just
Another wing.
It's just a subset.
Yeah.
And that makes no sense.
I agree with you.
Because the Democratic Party has been fundamentally not doing what they need to do to actually win, because they're trying to slow roll. They're trying to do just enough so they keep having good talking points. They keep having things they can do for the next election cycle, instead of just saying, okay, we need to look at all of the problems that we have. We need to look at like what are some big substantive fixes we can put in place, and what are some things that we can hold up and say, hey, we got this done and it helped people. We got this done and it helped people. And when you can't, what the Progressive Caucus in the Democratic Party should be doing is saying, hey, here are all the bleeding edge things that we think the party needs to be looking at doing. We should be going way hard on nuclear. Like, as a party, that the Progressive Caucus should be taking up nuclear as like a thing. It should be
energy?
a fight. Yes.
No, they're not going to do that.
I know,
because
and it's
of
a
the nuclear
failing.
waste that gets created.
Okay,
and,
but
and there's no real good way to
no.
get rid
What
of
you're
it.
saying right now is just not true.
No, I'm telling you what Bernie's position is on it. So they're not going to do that.
And he's wrong. That's what I'm
I
telling
don't know
you.
about that.
No,
What do you
I understand
propose
that you
do
don't
with
know
the
about
nuclear
that.
waste?
No, it's not. What do you mean? What do I propose? There are nuclear technologies that, one, have waste that is disposable. It doesn't have nearly as long of a half-life, so you can dispose of it a lot more safely. And two, the majority of nuclear power plants don't create enough nuclear waste that it's going to be a problem in the short term. But what we need to do is get off fossil fuels.
No,
So
I agree with that.
So if you are a progressive party and you care about getting off fossil fuels, you have to actually have a real rebuttal to the genuine question of, okay, so if we're going to stop using fossil fuels, what are we going to do? Because the current batch of renewables that we're using do not provide enough energy for us to actually make a seamless transition. So you have to give some stopgap.
But
and you don't need so much nuclear.
Elliot, it goes farther than that. So, yes, I agree with you.
Okay.
On the fact that, yes, nuclear, I think, is going to be a part of the future as far as getting off fossil fuels.
Yeah,
I want to get off fossil fuels. I got that.
Right.
But I think that, as always, you know where I'm going with this.
No, I don't.
You're not going to get off fossil fuels with the money in the system. So if you're saying that the progressives
I
in the
don't
party,
think that's true.
No, hear what I'm saying at least. Hold on. If you're saying that the progressives in the party should be pushing us to go renewable/fossil fuels and I'm sorry, renewable/nuclear.
I don't think they should be pushing renewable/nuclear, but keep talking.
You don't think they should be pushing that?
No,
That's what you just said.
No. Progressives
Right.
should be pushing nuclear because the technology is such that if we start now, because it takes like 10 years to build a nuclear plant. One nuclear plant takes like 10 years to build. So if we start building a nuclear plant now, we're still going to need fossil fuels for the next 10, 15 years. But what you do is you say, listen, we get that we are not going to stop using gas tomorrow, okay? But we also get that we need to stop using gas. Point blank, period.
That's the thing that I don't get with you. So who are you using that discussion with? Who are you trying to argue
They
with?
need
The
to aim it at the
Republicans?
Democrats. No, at the Democrats. Because if Democrats actually had a cogent energy plan for the future that didn't make no sense to the majority of people, especially down south and out Midwest, who know, okay, we can't not have gas. We can't not use gas.
Okay.
Well, everybody's not going to buy a Tesla.
No, I agree with you. But I almost feel like you're placing that at the feet of Pramila Jayapal, which is weird.
No, what I'm saying is when you're a progressive caucus, the whole point of a progressive caucus is their job in the party should be to say, hey, why haven't you guys looked at this problem this way?
No, yeah, I agree with that.
Hey, why haven't you guys done anything
and
to
a big
address?
part of the problem, like you said, is that the leadership of the progressive caucus is basically not doing any of those things. And I agree with that. The only thing that I said about Pramila, and Pramila only, not the rest of the leaders in the progressive caucus, like I can't think of that dude's name. Jeffries, Hakeem Jeffries. That's the guy who basically he shouldn't be in that caucus anyway.
Why? I assume his voting record doesn't reflect that he's progressive caucus
at all, and because Anyway, the reason they're not doing that is, in my opinion, because they're kind of bow down to Nancy Pelosi. It's like Nancy doesn't want to do it, so we can't do that. So and we're just gonna prioritize something else. And the something else doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing, but they don't take up the fights that they should. And I think 2 years ago, she was trying to take up the fights that they should. And so that's why I said I think pre-2020, she in particular was a very strong advocate for the stuff you're talking about. But since then,
no, man, it's so weird. We're reversing roles right now so hard, and it's throwing me for a loop.
No, it's just because I followed her career for probably about 4 years, from 2016 to 2020, and she was a very strong advocate for the right bills. Her voting record was good. Like, everything was going very well for her.
Sure.
And after 2020, I think, and it's similar to when Obama got elected.
As a individual contributor to the Progressive Caucus, all of that is perfectly fine. I think you can put all of that in a box and say she was a really good representative for her state.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
I don't even think she was in leadership of the Progressive Caucus back then.
Okay, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
But we're going to put that in a box for a second, okay? Her voting record was good. She was saying the right things. She was pushing some of the good policies that we want. All right? Put that in a box for a second. As the leader of the Progressive Caucus, the messaging as the leader should be aggressively future facing.
Progressive, literally thinking to the future. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, but
it's been horrible.
But the problem is, because they don't actually have to answer to anybody, because they're in their own caucus. They can say, hey, the Progressive Caucus is doing this. And the Democratic Party can say, oh, well, we don't like that. You're a part of our coalition. And they can say, okay, we're a part of your coalition, but we have this stance. This is what we've decided on collectively, and we're going to push this. Well, so now you can rebut what we're saying and say it's crazy, or it's not working, or it's nonsensical, and give us some feedback on why you would like it to change. And then we can have a back and forth about that. But this is our stance. And you put it out publicly, and you get your people behind you, and you actually build a faction
that will require
is in lockstep properly.
To wield power, which is something
now you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't like.
I'm not arguing that Pramila Jayapal is doing a good job.
That's
how
this conversation started.
No, what I said was it's saddening to me because I give her credit for the work she was doing pre-2020. That's what I said.
As an individual contributor, not as a leader.
Because I think she was a very good advocate in the Democratic Party. I think that she was doing good work
as an individual contributor.
Yes. And so now that she's in leadership, I think that all of that's gone. I think that the direction of the Progressive Caucus is just basically rah-rah Democratic Party. And even if we're not pushing, or like a good example would be the two-track bill where they got the hard infrastructure through, and then the other half, which had all of the stuff that people wanted, like the child tax credit and the
paid family leave. They didn't get any of that passed.
Yeah, and it's like, as the leader of the Progressive Caucus, I would arguably lay that at her feet.
Yeah, and here's what frustrates me about that. Okay, so I will give her. Let me cut her a little bit of slack. Okay, maybe I'm being a little harsh because I'm not. I'm really not.
You're not.
I'm actually being
about gentle. Now you're not.
But I will try and cut her some slack. Okay, because to be a leader and to step out on faith that you actually have the right answer is really difficult.
Yeah.
A lot of times there's a lot of information that goes into these things, and you don't want to go out half-cocked. AOC got in a lot of trouble several times because she kind of said stuff from the hip, and then a whole lot of people think she's dumb, which she's not. But the things she was saying were not they were not strongly supported by the facts. Mm-hmm. So like some of the points she was making were supported, but a lot of times she would kind of say things that wouldn't be entirely true, and certainly the way that she was framing it was probably less true than it needs to be when you're a politician saying things, especially because everybody just assumes you're lying anyway.
Yeah. So you kind of got to be careful with the things you say.
You kind of got to be careful with the things you say. Yeah. But especially when you're the leader of a progressive caucus, you should be pooling your resources. They should have people who are just looking for, okay, what new technologies can we use? Can we look to try and address problems that we have? What are our values? What are things that we want to address?
Yeah.
And then what tools, technologies, strategies can we be utilizing?
See, but they can't do that
because they aren't really a caucus right now.
Yeah, and then when you've got people in the caucus that are completely adversarial to the things that you're supposed to be.
But that's democratic.
So
that's
a good
democratic.
example. That's the Democratic Party as a whole.
101. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we're a big tent party, so we're gonna welcome people into the party
that disagree
their
with us.
sole goal
is to keep us from doing
to block
anything.
us from doing anything.
Yeah.
Like the fact, like one thing that AOC said that I really think is true. She said this literally it was 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
She said, in a sane world, Joe Manchin and I would not be in the same party.
And that's super true.
I mean, because it's people I hate the argument of well, you can't cross Manchin because he's gonna leave the party.
Yeah, you can.
Who cares?
Yeah.
He doesn't vote with us anyway. And it's well, Joe Manchin votes with us when it matters. Dude, Elliot, could you imagine if we would have got his vote on some of these super important bills going into this midterm?
Okay.
All of the discussions we had about, oh man, Biden's not doing nothing. Imagine even if they amended the bill, it didn't come out, we didn't get the full paid family leave.
We get a piece of it.
We got a piece of something. And so that I lay at the feet of Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. You know why? Because the reason why, a lot of this stuff, they don't make these people vote on it. So Joe Manchin is not saying to us as a country, I don't want you to have paid medical and family leave. He's saying, look, man, the bill, I had some issues with it, and I couldn't vote for it.
Yeah.
And which sounds, he's a moderate.
Yeah.
He's not basically a Democratic extremist where his views don't match the party, because he doesn't. If he had to go out there and have a standalone bill today that said, we are doing child tax credit, we are doing paid family leave, we are, whatever, a standalone bill, and now you got to vote no.
This is always a problem, though. There's so much that goes into how things actually end up coming out in public that we'll never really know the whole story. But there's a huge problem, especially in the Democratic Party. Joe Manchin is not the only one not voting for this stuff.
Yeah, and
again, so there are a whole lot of people in the background who are like, yeah, Joe Manchin won't vote for it, but I won't vote for it either.
Yeah, because even if him and Kirsten Sinema voted yes, you've got the others waiting in the background to protect their donors.
Yeah.
My donors don't want a tax increase on the wealthy.
But you're saying, they won't put stuff to a vote. But they won't put stuff to a vote because they don't want to have to vote for it.
And
Nancy
they know
Pelosi doesn't want to have to vote.
Pelosi doesn't put stuff up that she doesn't think is going to pass.
No, she doesn't put stuff up that she doesn't want to have to vote no on.
Right. And, no, I'm serious.
There's a difference.
If she doesn't think it'll pass, she won't put it up as well.
No.
Yes.
Sure. Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, if she doesn't think it'll pass, she won't put it up. But you're saying...
No, I'm agreeing. She doesn't want to vote for it either. You think she's...
No, you're saying there's a dichotomy. The reason it won't pass is because she won't vote for it. So there's stuff that won't get put up for a vote because she knows if it got put up for a vote, she could not vote for it and continue to be elected. There are tax breaks that they put up for a vote just fine. There are tax cuts that they put up for a vote just fine. But when it comes to tax increases, they don't want to put those up for a vote. When it comes to a lot of adjustments on past tax breaks that they should be big regulations that really
that would save lives.
Yeah,
funding for certain programs.
But that it's like that. Shoot, I lost my whole train of thought.
Well, while you think about that,
I know, right?
The problem as always is the money. Yeah. Because the reason why they wouldn't vote for a regulation on a business like Joe Manchin. I mean, this dude's literally owns a coal company.
Yeah.
So
which should be illegal.
Of course it should be illegal.
It should be in trust.
He'll
probably say, "Oh, it is in trust. I don't know what goes on with the business," but he does.
Yeah, you know the check's clearing.
You're right.
You know that they wouldn't like regulation on coal companies.
Yeah, yeah. And when you finish your work, you gonna go out and get you a fat check.
Yeah.
And
he has a yacht called Slice of Heaven, where this dude he's making more money from the coal company than he's making in the Senate. Well, it's nuts.
Okay, but I remember the thing I was talking about. This is another thing that I really, shockingly, have to give Joe Biden credit for. the way he's talking about oil companies right now
Yeah.
is absolutely. I've never seen it happen.
It could be stronger, but
When-
I've never seen it happen from.
I've
a
never
president.
seen somebody even say, "Hey, listen,
You guys are price gouging."
They are price gouging y'all. Like they are taking all the money and just giving it to their people, and we really need them to pass those savings on because I know they got some money. Like nobody's. And the crazy part to
He
me,
did float Bernie's idea of the windfall profit.
yes,
But
and
as
to me,
always, Bernie puts up a good idea, and we wait and
No,
wait.
it's
and
not-
waste a bunch of time.
No, you're saying, oh, we waste a bunch of time. No one wants to do that. That's why they're not doing it.
No, I know.
Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to have to vote no on a windfall tax bill. That's why they're not doing anything about it.
Elliot, I know.
The bill exists.
Nobody wants to do it except for the people that know we should.
And again, circling back to our Katie Porter conversation, I really hope she does win. It would make me very, very sad if
she's
didn't
probably one of the
retain
best
her seat.
congresswomen. But she, in my opinion, you giving all this crap to Pramila Jayapal. My thing with Katie Porter is, where is she on the big fights?
She's
literally
not
never seen her ever fight anybody on anything ever. Except
the committees. The committees that they put her on are very off to the side, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, but what I'm asking you is,
how do you?
I love Katie Porter. Okay,
yes,
but
which big fights? Which big fights are you referring to?
Where is she on the windfall profits tax or the price gouging?
How can that's not her committee?
She's in the Congress. She
Yeah.
could. I'm not telling her to be in the committee.
No, okay, but the committee is where that bill would get introduced. It's where that bill would get voted on.
So
It's
no.
where, because the bills don't they don't. It's not a general thing. Committees specifically develop bills within their purview, and then they bring them back to the general Congress to vote on.
Well,
I know
it's
you
not
know
just committees though, because individual Congress people also write
yeah,
bills.
yeah.
And
But
then take it.
they still have to go to committee, and then they come back out.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that she couldn't write a bill or co-sponsor a bill. Yeah, of course she could.
She's written and co-sponsored bills, right?
But not a. This is my.
She.
Let's
I
go
don't
back
think-
to the original discussion. The original discussion was about the leader of a progressive caucus should
Yes.
be doing this type of stuff, right?
Yes, I agree
so
with that.
in these, like, let's say in a hypothetical, I was the leader of the progressive caucus.
Yes.
Okay. Similar to what the Republicans do successfully, which
Mm-hmm.
is they amplify a specific message, no matter what the message is.
Until it's so
And they
loud
all
that it gets
until
heard
it's
by everybody.
in the national discussion.
Yeah.
Now, one thing the Republicans do that the Democrats don't do is they successfully utilize right-wing media. So they will go to the right-wing media and be on those shows. And I'm not talking about just Fox News. They go on right-wing talk radio. They go on right-wing streamers. Like Donald Trump was, like, think about it.
But
outside of MSNBC and CNN,
yeah.
do they go on large scale online shows?
I think the problem is the way that people who tend to vote for Democrats interact with media is fundamentally different than the way that people who interact with like Fox News tend to interact with media. So it's less effective for like them to go on a radio show or like some other random thing for them, because the people who tend to vote are going to vote based on the facts, and they're not getting the facts from the politicians. We know not to listen to them. They lie. So we get our facts from other sources, and then we vote based on that information. And all of the information points to voting for the people who are actually sane.
So
people who
this
interact with
I
Fox
would
News
disagree
and
with that.
are actively going to vote for a Republican are going to get their information from Fox News and then go vote for a Republican, which is why Republicans can go to Fox News, because they know they're talking directly to the people who are going to use that information. They're going to take it and go vote.
Yeah, but they don't just go to Fox News. That's my point. Because they're on Newsmax. They're on One America News Network.
Sure.
They were on Rush Limbaugh. They go to Charlie Kirk.
But here's my
go
point.
to Candace Owens' show.
yes,
Like,
but here's my
point. The point that I'm making is, like you said at the beginning of the show.
Right.
You said the major sticking point was the young vote for the Democrats.
That's true.
The youth do not watch CNN.
Oh, that's 100% true.
So we get our news from the Shade Room,
Yeah.
from Twitter, from
YouTube,
like smaller
TikTok.
shows like Roland
But-
Martin and
okay,
things like that.
sure.
And so
And-
that's my point.
Kinda. Here's the problem with what you're saying, okay? All of that is true in both directions. A lot of Republicans don't get their information from Fox News. They get it from Newsmax. They get it from YouTube. They get it from Facebook.
And
blah,
One
blah,
American
blah,
News
blah, blah.
Network and Charlie
Sure,
Kirk.
but they don't see that like on TV or a lot of times listen to it on radio. They find it on the internet. They find it in their Facebook.
Politicians on the right go on those shows. That's my point.
Okay, I hear you, but what I'm telling you is a lot of people don't the conversion rate.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, the conversion rate of a Republican, if they take the time to go on a show, they know that is going to tangibly affect the number of people who will vote for them. Democrats don't have that the same way because generally people who are going to vote on the left are going to have a more disparate. So like if AOC goes on like some random show, I might not see it because I'm going to have my array of news information and news outlets that I'm picking from. So like if they're trying to figure out, they're looking at a pie chart of all the time they have, it's just less efficient for them to go to all of these different shows. That's not to say that they shouldn't have a better media team, especially the DCCC. Like their media,
that's my point.
Their media apparatus is garbage.
They could be using all of these different left-wing shows to amplify a single narrative the same way that the right does. That's all I'm saying. I'm talking about
but you have to have a narrative like they agree that they want to amplify.
And that's
they only want to talk about abortion.
The problem with the Big Tent because the tent is so big that
nobody can agree on it.
Nobody gets together in it because there's so much space.
Exactly.
Everyone's separated.
Yes.
So, now, is it good to have a Big Tent? I guess I understand it, but there's no... I understand it because they're trying to get in so many people to vote against the Republicans. But the problem with the tent being too big is the fact that there is no direction.
Yeah.
There's no direction.
I like that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And so it's like our tent is so big. We've got Joe Manchin, who basically is like, I'm going to protect my profits for coal companies. And then you've got Bernie on the other side. Yeah. He's like, look, man, these oil companies are price gouging us.
Right, they're killing us, bro.
And
what are you doing?
We're supposed to believe as a society
that those are...
They're on the same side. Like, they're literally fighting each other, basically.
But I think...
That's the problem we have.
Big Tent doesn't work because...
if you're going to come into our tent, you need to come to our side. You can't come into our tent and then pull us to the other tent.
Well, I don't even think it can be that. I think the problem that the Democrat Party, listen to me, I sound like a Republican. No, the problem that the Democratic Party has is literally that they use Big Tent Party as an excuse to race to the bottom.
Right.
So they say, we're a Big Tent Party, so we got to include everybody so we can do as little as possible while still raking in as much profit as possible. So, no, they're just using it as a smokescreen. It's a cover. No, what really needs to happen is all the individual caucuses, the Black Caucus, the Progressive Caucus, they need to take their ball and go home and say, hey, we're not going to vote with the Democratic Party until you guys actually start addressing the things that we value. Right. And then when you do that, you say, hey, we're Democrats, but we're not the Democratic Party. We're the Progressive Caucus. We're Democrats, but we're not the Democratic Caucus. We are the Black Caucus.
Right. And that will require courage. So the problem that we're having right now is in that scenario, which has happened, right? In that scenario, that's when the I guess you could say the Democratic media apparatus jumps in.
Yeah.
So they're going to jump in and say, you're hurting Democrats and you're anti-unity. You're not going to support the Democratic nominee. I mean, I know it's the first primary state, but you should all just drop out.
Nah, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah, and so that's my issue. The problem is that's a leadership problem. That's a leadership
I agree.
problem. The party does not have a direction. And so they are winning the few races that they're winning, even when they lose the House.
On accident.
Not even on accident. It's kind of like
they're barely winning.
They're winning because they're playing against a bad team. They're playing against the Republicans who they have a coach that's literally shooting the players in the foot before the game starts.
Okay, but that's when I say
barely winning.
When I say on accident, that's exactly what I mean. They're not winning because they have brilliant strategy. They're not winning because their policies are popular. They're not winning because people actually want to vote for them.
Republicans are 1% worse.
They're literally only winning because the Republicans are just bad enough. And if I'm honest, my conspiracy theory brain is active. I think this is how they want it. That's why the Republicans were even willing to entertain running all those garbage candidates. Because the Republicans don't have a real plan either.
Garbage candidates in this election?
Yeah, like in this election cycle.
Well, no, I think a big part of the reason why they ran those garbage candidates is because Donald Trump picked them.
Sure.
And so, okay, so a lot of the candidates who Donald Trump did not pick, that they continue to run against his picks, lost.
Sure.
So now some of them did win, but my point is, you're saying, oh, the Republicans were willing to run those garbage candidates. No, Donald Trump comes in and says, hey, I am now anointing a garbage candidate, and the party's like, oh,
I guess we gotta go
pick that person.
And here's the problem: Donald Trump anoints a garbage candidate. All the Republicans have to do is run a actual person with actual values who actually wants to go do a job. Against his pick.
That will require courage. Elliot, they're all betas.
I know.
Trump
That's what I'm saying.
And scared them all into submission.
Okay, but it's a chicken and an egg problem. You're saying they're betas because Trump beat them so bad. I'm saying, no, they're betas because they realize they don't have to do anything and they can keep raking in profits and getting all the same policies passed without actually having to win. Because the Democrats will just do barely enough to win, and then they'll barely pass anything. So the Republicans can just keep giving tepid, lukewarm. Oh, those guys are trying to trans your kids, and they're trying to abort babies, and they're trying to take your guns, and like
nonsense.
They're trying to have criminals break into your house and rape the whole family.
Cruz literally said that Obama was going to have the entire country living in hobbit homes.
I don't know. Hobbit homes are kind of dope.
Yeah, you don't want to. Shires sound beautiful.
Who doesn't want a house in a hill?
Have you seen Lord of the Rings?
I'm just saying.
Like,
Ted Cruz is so uncool.
Ted Cruz is
a dork.
Yeah,
there you go.
He is the dorkiest dork,
of course,
on the planet. Like, one thing that Democrats and Republicans can agree on.
Ted Cruz is unpopular, bro. Somebody threw a beer at him.
Yeah.
Like, why is Stone Cold Steve Austin in the crowd throwing beers at Ted Cruz?
Like, Ted Cruz is like the worst person in the country, bro. Like, literally.
And he makes himself so
In 2016, I remember asking people, would you vote for Ted Cruz or Donald Trump? And I still, personally, if I had to choose, I would vote for Trump.
Me too.
Cruz is like...
Bro, he's like Dr. Robotnik. He's a supervillain. It's crazy.
He's like Dr. Evil, but not a comedy.
No, it's not funny at all.
He's the worst person in the country.
Bro.
Like... he's like so terrible. But anyway. So overall, it's looking like the Democrats are going to maintain the Senate by one seat. They actually might pick up a seat because it's 50-50.
Yeah.
So they might have 51-49, maybe.
Which would be nice.
We'll see. And like I said, Georgia's going to a runoff.
Yeah.
The House, they're probably going to lose the House. Right now, they need to win 22 of the outstanding seats. The Republicans only have to win 11.
And I don't think they're going to pull 22. That's a lot.
No.
The margins are really close in a lot of those races that are still out going.
The Democrats did flip a couple seats though,
bro.
In the House.
To me, that was the craziest part. Was seeing them flip seats that nobody expected them to flip.
Yeah.
Did you see?
Republicans are losing like plus 10, plus 15 Republican seats. So
there was last thing, and then we'll go ahead and close it out. Yeah. The races in New York. With man, your boy,
the dude that took
Jamal Bowman. I think
no, not Jamal Bowman's seat. He took Mondaire Jones' seat.
That's it, Mondaire Jones.
So for people that don't know, there were two very progressive black male candidates in New York,
who were incumbents,
and Jamal Bowman.
Yeah,
they are very, very strong, good quality candidates. So when they did the redistricting, Democratic leadership basically
bumped them out of their seats.
Bumped one of their seats like out of existence.
Yeah.
One of the seats is gone, when they redistricted in New York. So Mondaire Jones' seat is the one that's gone. So what they expected was he was going to run against Jamal Bowman. Well, he didn't. He ran in a different race. Now, he actually ended up losing in the primary. Which sucks. But the thing is, his staff actually told him that if he ran against Jamal Bowman, they wouldn't
support
for him.
Yeah.
So, yes, they stuck together. They didn't run against each other. Well, the Democratic leader in New York
that decided he was going to take the seat that he just bumped old boy out of.
He's like, Mondaire, you're never going to run against me. Yeah. I'm in Democratic leadership. I got a whole bunch of money. He lost.
Yeah.
So now they have redistricted and lost not one, but both of those seats.
Yeah.
So, you know what? comeuppance.
Well, and this is always
Even
the
though
problem.
it's not good.
This is always the problem when you're trying to do all of these like 3D chess, hyper machination. I'm Littlefinger in the, in Star
Game of
Wars
Thrones
type
reference?
moves, huh?
Game of Thrones reference?
Of course. When you're trying to do all this machination and you're trying to like do this hyper complicated, multi-tiered strategy, everything is likely to go wrong because politics are so complicated.
Yeah.
People's voting patterns are so complicated. The intermittent individual factors that are going to affect the who's going to vote and how they're going to vote get so complicated. You need to keep it simple. You need to dumb it down. So
and then another problem you have is in these super blue states like New York and California, that's where the Democrats actually did the worst.
yeah.
So,
But that's
because that's where the most Democratic establishment, corporate Democrat, right-wing
resides,
Democrats
yes.
are.
And I think in your hyper blue states, people are so disgusted with the Democrats
Yeah.
that they're actually like,
No, there's real issues.
Democrats
in California.
always win. I'm not going to vote.
Yeah. There's
And, like,
real issues in New York. There's real issues in California
Yes.
with Democratic leadership.
Yes.
And
And
that doesn't mean Republican leadership is great. That means
but if
like,
what
no,
you got ain't
the
working, you go
flaws
get
are
something
there.
else. Yeah.
because
California got some real
I
problems.
mean, you have the problem of the pricing there. The taxes are super high.
Yeah.
And you've got overpopulation issues. You've got overregulation in a lot of places, to be honest. No, it's real.
Yeah.
And so what happens when you have too much Democrat? It's the same thing as Mississippi. You have way too much Republican, where you have horrible education, you have horrible income inequality. It's a right to work state.
This is why, like, no matter what anybody says, I heard, I'm gonna quote Destiny. I'm sorry. I heard Destiny say we want a strong Republican Party. Now, I don't know if Republican Party is what we want, but we want a strong conservative
or even opposition
voice.
party. You can even say that. You don't
Because
want a uniparty.
I don't want a uniparty. And I feel like, especially with the way that the Democrats kind of operate around the Republican Party right now, it's a uniparty. It functions as a uniparty. Yeah. It's kind of like those monopolies that are like, oh no, there's competition, but really they're all colluding and they're just pretending they're not.
It's like Great Value and the company, like Great Value Pop-Tarts and Kellogg's Pop-Tarts. Like if
and
Kellogg's
it be in the same,
they're both,
it's the same Pop-Tarts.
Great Value. It's the same company.
Yeah.
But we're under the illusion that we have choice.
It's literally the ketchup meme.
Yeah.
All of it is just Heinz ketchup. You just pay more when it says Heinz on the bottle.
Right.
So people are voting for Democrats to go do Republican stuff. They're voting for Christian Cinema to literally go and then not vote for any Democratic policies. Yeah, it's crazy.
And so I would say I don't want a strong Republican Party. I would love to have a strong opposition party. The reason I say that is because the Republican Party
is crazy.
Is racist.
I mean that too, but they're also crazy. They're racist and they're crazy. Maybe they're racist because they're crazy, or they're crazy because they're racist. But they're not doing what they need to do, and it's really wrecking our ability to get proper pressure on the Democratic Party, because a lot of times what we need them to change, they have no incentive whatsoever to change, because they're like, oh, I mean, we're running against the Republicans. They're not doing any better, so we're fine. Everything's cool.
Yeah. I think that the Republican Party right now, they are, they're fully into what they have always wanted to say, and I think Trump kind of gave them the go ahead to be super hyper racist, super hyper into deregulation and tax cuts for the rich. Like, they've always done that, but they've been kind of trying to keep it under the radar. So, but
yeah, I mean, and what's really sad is, I think if we could get a non-racist conservative party, I think they would have a lot of good to contribute, because I do think that there are some conservative cases to be made. There's some, like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps type
and I don't
think policies that would be really positive. Yeah, because, and it has positives to it, but just like everything, when you have a California where everything's too progressive and they're trying to do too many
it's not
things,
too progressive. It's too corporate in a lot of ways.
there you go. But the reason that it can get too corporate is because a lot of the corporatists masquerade as progressives. Hey, we're doing this to help
they take
you.
The same money the Republicans take.
And they suck up all the air in the room, and they take up all the policy passing so they can get more corporate tax cuts and they can do more nonsense. So we just need strong parties in both directions.
That's right.
All right. Well, listen, this has been the Pensive Brothers Podcast. I'm Elliot.
This is Aaron.
And we are out. First episode.